Welcome to Central Global News, the podcast that provides you with a short summary of some of the most interesting stories around the world every week. This week, we will talk about the newest events in the Israel-Gaza conflict, discuss the EU COVID pass for traveling, and see how dating apps are trying to promote COVID vaccination. After 11 days of violence, a ceasefire between Israel and Palestinian militants came into effect in the early hours of Friday. The truce has largely held, despite clashes between Palestinian protesters and Israeli police force at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. 2 weeks ago, similar events in the same location led to the escalation of the conflict between Israel and the military force controlling Gaza named Hamas. During the 11 days of regular rocket and missile fires between the two sides, more than 240 people died in Gaza, including 66 children, with more than 1,900 wounded. According to Palestinian officials, at least 2,000 housing units had been destroyed in the conflict and 15,000 more got damaged. On the Israeli side, 1 soldier and 12 civilians have been reported dead and hundreds more injured. On the weekend, humanitarian aid trucks started arriving in Gaza from various aid agencies carrying medicine, food and fuel. After the agreement of the ceasefire, both Israel and Hamas claimed victory. However, the conflict has not been resolved, and many fear that tensions could turn into violence again. Only a few hours after the truce came into effect, Israel's Prime Minister said, in the event of any attack from Hamas, they would respond forcefully, while the political leader of Hamas stated that until the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem is liberated, their fight against Israel would continue. The European Union has reached a provisional consensus on an EU COVID travel pass called the EU Digital COVID Certificate on Thursday. The certificate will allow traveling without restrictions for people who have been vaccinated. It will apply to all 27 EU member states and will be available for some non-EU countries too. The certificate will recognize COVID vaccines authorized by the European Medicines Agency, which are the Pfizer-BioNTech, Moderna, Oxford AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson jabs. Member states decide individually whether they accept other vaccines or not. For people who are not vaccinated, travel will be still possible. However, they might be subject to testing or quarantine when arriving to a different country. The regulation will come into force from the 1st of July, but according to European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, the system will be ready in the next few days, so countries will soon be able to begin the rollouts of the certificate. In the US, dating apps are working on a new partnership with the White House to motivate people to get vaccinated. Apps like Tinder, Hinge, and OkCupid will introduce new features which will allow users to see each other's vaccination status. The users who decide to share whether they are vaccinated or not will be awarded premium features which will increase their chances of matching with someone. Tinder is also going to add links to sources of official information of vaccination from the World Health Organization, as well as introduce a new vaccine location tool to its app, which is a platform for making appointments for vaccination. Tinder published some statistics of its own research that says more than half of their Gen Z users claim to be only interested in going on a date with a person who is vaccinated. That's the end of the podcast for this week. We will be back next week. Thanks for listening.